Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the show where we discuss the film Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, 3 minutes at a time. I am Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert, by golly.
I'm Gerald Christopher Marcus Porter.
And I am William Bruke, Jerry Porter's nephew.
Hey, William.
Yeah, all right. Hooray.
Welcome back.
We
Thanks.
remember you from such
earlier.
shows as such shows as the Porter Family Reunion.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
That never happened because everybody showed up late.
Aw,
It happened
like the
right on
Porters.
time. Yeah,
probably planned that.
there were 18 flat tires on the way.
And how many missing gas caps? Oh, we got stories.
I was visiting my family last month, and like we're the opposite of the Porters, and there were like 5 of us meeting at 8 a.m. and it was 7:55, and my stepmom was like, "Where's your sister? Where's your sister? It's 7:55. Text her, find out where she is." Like, it's not even 8 a.m. and she's late.
I'm just picturing a lot of mummerts converging from opposite directions into the same point at exactly 8 o'clock.
No, you're late if it's 8 o'clock. That was the point.
Man.
Like, yeah.
Oh, my God.
You're not even allowed in. You're not part of the family anymore.
Wow, Tommy? What are the Taylor family reunions like? It's like going to the zoo.
It's like going to the zoo. No, it's my dad would get there at exactly precisely o'clock, and it was there's a lot of cocktail hours and a lot of crackers and cheese and television watching and hanging out and yeah.
That seems exactly like that short story, The Swimmer.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. Well, this is a reunion of the 4 of us, and that's beautiful because we're all here to talk about minutes 28 through 30 of Dial of Destiny. These minutes begin with Indy finishing his very short speech at his retirement party, thanking everyone for putting up with him. Outside, he gives the retirement clock to a random dude on the street as he is followed by the mysterious brainiac in the beret from his class, who is in turn followed by another mysterious woman rocking an orange leather jacket. The beret woman sidles up to Indy at the bar and reveals herself to be Helena Shaw, who Indy hasn't seen since before she got tall. He tells her that he's celebrating his retirement, and she joins him for a drink as we cut to a room service waiter wheeling a tray of food into a hotel suite occupied by a mustachioed southerner, a man on crutches, a hulking German, and Dr. Schmidt, in quotes, the man who built the rockets that put the men on the moon, who looks just like that Fuller guy we saw get murdered by a train back in the 40s.
Oh, whoa.
See? Fuller icily grills the waiter on such subjects as where his people are from and if he's enjoying being a waiter after saving democracy in the war, all of which the waiter answers patiently, but with a look that says, "Cram it with walnuts, fascist."
Well, William, I have a question for you. So this starts off, and Indy says, "Thank you for putting up with me," right? So, and it seems to be genuine, right? So,
Jerry's about to ask you if that's sufficient, if he does that during family reunions, or if he needs to have something of a bigger mea culpa.
And if you should change it up each year.
Well, it's fascinating because I think, he seems to know that he's a pain in the ass. And so what I'm asking you is, do you think pain in the asses know that they're a pain in the ass?
That's really thought-provoking to start off with.
Yeah.
I'm sure some pains in the ass know that they're pains in the ass. It's really on like a spectrum of mild pain all the way to like, I forget the word, but prostate exam. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, that's
I liked your finger gestures.
yeah.
Yeah.
That type of okay.
On that scale, you'd really have to be self-aware to know how much of an ass pain you really are.
Yeah, I mean that. Okay, so
Yeah.
this brings up a follow-up question. He's saying this at his retirement party. So, if you're a pain in the ass, and you know that you are, is it moot if you just thank everybody at the end, essentially, of your career?
When you will never see them again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, what's
All
the
is
point?
forgiven.
Wouldn't it have been better if you had just not been a pain in the ass maybe a year into your vocation?
Well, that's a really interesting point, and I would like to point out that, like, if he had to work more with these guys, he probably would have continued to be a pain in the ass. He's probably just trying to be sentimental, and he just thought, well, I can't do any more damage, so I might as well apologize.
Isn't there the chance though that, like, if assuming, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that this isn't the first time he's apologized for being a pain in the ass or for having people to put up with him. If somebody is a pain in the ass, but they acknowledge it, does that almost make them more charming if they're like apologetic for being a pain in the ass?
I think that's what people who are pains in the ass think makes them charming.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, but there's so many pains in the ass who have no idea that they're a pain
That's
in the
true.
ass,
Right.
or if they do know, they don't care and they would never apologize for it.
Right.
So acknowledging it and just at least being human enough to acknowledge it. Oh my God, I'm a pain in the ass. It got away from me. I'm sorry.
He didn't say it got away from me. I'm sorry. See, I
No, he
feel
doesn't.
like you're reading into this.
I am
Thanks
very
for
much
putting
so.
up with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
thanks for
Indiana
putting-
Jones. I want to give him the
Well, yeah,
benefit
but
of
I
the
mean,
doubt.
being a pain in the ass, it's almost, intrinsic to being a pain in the ass that you don't know you are.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And he's not
So-
saying, to be fair, he's not. It's not in the text that he's a pain in the ass. He was just somebody who had to be put up with. And that can mean a lot of different things.
And he's also not asking for an apology. He's not asking for forgiveness.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
That's true.
it's one of the old be a
I'm
pain in the ass first, and then
Yeah, I'm not sure
you
he's as
just-
self-aware as Tom is.
But
yeah.
I know I'm a pain in the ass, and I apologize for it constantly. And people seem to still like me, so maybe that's where I'm getting this from. That you could
And
be-
you're not
you can
retired.
skate on your. I'm not retired.
Yeah.
That'd be
Also,
great if I was retired.
who's gonna call a guy out at his retirement party? Like, he's leaving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and stay out. Yeah.
That would
Where's
be
my
that would be.
pen?
I would love that at your retirement party. You suck.
You always suck. I hate you from the
You've been
first-
the
Hold
last. The last 12 years have been hell.
Every
Keep him here.
day,
Keep him here.
every day I wake up hoping that you finally drop dead.
So here's
give
my
me-
number. Please call me when you drop dead, since we're not going to be working together anymore.
We're giving you a clock so you realize with every tick
Yeah,
you have been.
it's set for half past. You're a jerk.
Everyone high fives. Yeah.
Yeah, I nailed it.
There you go.
Up here's
Alrighty.
Dr. Jones.
I do like that he's giving the man on the street the gift of time. It seems like a nice gesture.
Yeah.
Like, what nicer thing could you give?
And that
Well,
works
I don't know. That could go
Yeah,
either way.
I think this can go a lot of ways. I mean, first of all,
I'm
he's
being
handing.
slightly sarcastic with that.
Well, he's handing over his retirement clock.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, what's interesting is this man on the street. Is he a vagrant or a
I don't know, I
transient?
can't quite
They seem
tell.
to sketch him as a vagrant.
They seem to sketch him as one.
With all
which
these
is-
hippies around, it's so
That's
hard
true.
to tell.
That's true. He looks older than a hippie though. Or it's for 1969-7, whatever this is.
I could imagine like
Yeah.
an elderly hippie.
Maybe.
That'd be like a
Sure.
fun twist.
He's got that backpack with like the wheels on it or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. He seems
Well,
like
it
well
made you
equipped.
think,
I
like-
mean, I don't know.
Well, it made me think. I mean, he possibly came from the airport. Maybe it's like maybe it's a walk of shame home, but it's not one night. Maybe it was like a 1 week stand. So he had.
Oh,
to
his
pack a
girlfriend
little
just kicked him out or something. Maybe.
Yeah,
A 1
he had to
week
pack a
stand.
little valise.
Then this
Or
old guy.
possibly the person. I did think of this. What if that person is homeless or unhoused, and then
Well, that's what I
Indy
was. Yeah.
gives him the clock, and you think, all right, well, Indy himself also is in a way he's no longer an archaeologist, so he's in a way he's maybe homeless too.
And he's giving away his time. Like he's like, I don't need my time
Yeah.
anymore. You take it.
Yeah. That's a good
or-
point. A lot. Sorry,
William,
what?
do you think he's giving away sort of the he's not dead, but is he giving away sort of I don't know, the palpable construct of time? Is it more of that? Is he's giving away, he's no longer going to have an 8 a.m. class, and he's not going to have to pay attention. He's not going to have to set his alarm. He's not going to be awakened. He may still be awakened by the loud hippie neighbors, but he's not going to have anywhere to go. Also, I mean, the Antikythera, like the whole thing ties in with time and the Antikythera.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But also, how much of it, like we're talking about being a pain in the ass, what kind of a jerk move is it that people very thoughtfully try to give you something of value and you don't even wait until you're out of sight of the building? you don't even have the courtesy to get home before you throw it away.
It's his final thing that he needs to apologize for. They put up with him for just this sort of thing.
Yeah, thoughtfully. I mean, if he was really a pain in the ass, I'm sure they all didn't really think about, the quality of the gift.
Yeah.
That's
Did anybody
point,
look up what a clock cost in 1960, whatever? Like, how much could that guy get for it if he takes it to like a pawn shop or something?
Yeah.
Enough.
It might be a really nice move on Indy's part. We don't know.
Well, it seems like it's gilded, right?
Yeah, it seems like a nice clock. Yeah.
I'd
So
want
the
that
one-
clock.
Hard to say.
It's funny they give him the clock instead of a watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd probably already pocketed all the watches.
If we walk through these, so did he never? This is his first and only retirement party, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if
I mean,
that's
they
enough to
probably
say
sent him. When he left, whatever the last one was, they probably.
that. So they fired him
party
from
for him.
Marshall. They fired him from Barnett. This is a retirement.
Maybe. Oh, you know what? Maybe Marshall was like subsumed by Barnett. Like it was like a takeover. And like, so he was still at Marshall and all the Marshall buildings, but they called it Barnett now or something. So he didn't have a party for that one.
A real Theseus ship sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what if like he's at like Codependent University, and he's like, "Thank you for putting up for me," and like this entire time they wanted to fire him, but they just put up with them because the entire school. I'm dying. The entire
time has
school
come
and
for
all
Jerry.
the all the deans are codependent, and they just couldn't. They're the last one out of like 4 universities that he finally found people he can run roughshod over.
Well, I still wonder if he's like the rock star academic they bring in just to give cachet to their department. Like he's only there because he's a big name and everybody hates him. But they got to keep him because he's the guy that brings in students. Oh, you've got that guy.
And he just knows he doesn't do anything.
I mean, in the first movie, they were like painting over their eyelids for him. Imagine what he's, got people doing for him 50 years later.
Now that he's honed his craft.
Well, let me ask you, William. We talked about this earlier on one of the earlier episodes. Do you think it's public knowledge, or at least is it part of like the Journal of Higher Education, that Dr. Henry Jones found the Ark of the Covenant? Is that on his resume?
I can't imagine it's public knowledge or it's on his resume. They don't. How much do they really say about him, like after the movies or after the movie that he was in?
We did ask that last week. Like, is there anything he's ever done that he can publish?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like the Ark was
publicized.
a secret because the top men got a hold of everything, and they probably had him sign something. And like Elsa doesn't know anything about him knowing about the Ark and stuff, and she maybe would in Last Crusade. I don't know.
Oh, that's
It
a
seems
good point.
It seems like they clamped it down a
He
little
also
bit.
often doesn't come home with what he finds, so it's hard. Like everyone might just think he's a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah,
found
sure,
the Ark of the
Grandpa.
Covenant. I promise, guys. You just can't look at it.
It was an Ark this big.
I got the Grail. I had it in my hands.
No, I just had to drop it for reasons.
Yeah.
And then I saw a big spaceship, and it took off out of the Andes.
It went
Sean
woof.
Connery was there. I swear it happened.
You think his LinkedIn page gets flagged?
Yeah. No spam. So yeah, we see Helena. We don't know her name's Helena yet. But
I was curious. This bar is called Jack Breen's Bar, and I couldn't find any real place of this name or any person named Jack Breen that would seem to explain if
I
there's
know
a
a
reason
Jack
for that
Breen.
name. Well, maybe that's who it was named after.
Yeah, I think it's Jack. I know a Jack Breen. I think he was one of the founders of Sherwin-Williams.
There is That's one of the Jack Breens I found. He's from
weird.
Cleveland.
Yeah, he's from Cleveland. Yeah, I know. Like we all went to school with his kids.
Wow.
Yeah, I got when I was painted houses, we got deep discounts on Sherwin-Williams paint.
Yeah, that's funny. That's the one that came up. That's like maybe it could be him.
That's funny.
And now he's immortalized as this bar in Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah.
Maybe he supplied the paint.
He must know somebody. Yeah.
They break into Hollywood.
That's right. Oh, so Helena comes in and she knows who he is. He doesn't know who she is, and they're talking about the moon. And we get more of this. She's like, "What do you think the ancients would say if they knew that we went to the moon?" He's like, who cares?
Well, I love that he says, speaking as an ancient. And it's somebody who's increasingly ancient. That I can identify with that. I like that.
Yeah, more of that self-awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get the Reno jab.
Oh, the Reno jab is weird.
Reno's the blackjack capital of the world for 100 years. Not the world, but like that was one of the main gambling spots.
But is he just saying that, like, okay, it's like going to the desert, but you're not finding a Reno or a Vegas?
But he says it's like going.
There.
He says going to the moon is like going to Reno.
But like middle of nowhere, blackjack.
It's the middle of no. Yeah, like he seems to imply that Reno doesn't have blackjack, and I'm wondering if he's a gambler or if he goes to Reno. It's funny imagining Indy and Reno.
I think he's saying the opposite. He's saying it's like going nowhere, except. And there's also no blackjack.
There's also no blackjack?
Right. Yeah.
Reno would be nowhere if there was no blackjack. So it's like going to that Reno with no blackjack. He says it weird. You're right.
Yeah, he does.
I'd like to see an Indy movie that's just him gambling in Reno.
And he bets like the Chachapoyan Idol or something and loses it. I had it, Marcus. I had it on red.
He doesn't fight Nazis or anything. He's just trying to count cards.
He'd have that one, like, he would gamble the one, what's that famous silver dollar from like 1890 or whatever?
Well, until like the 60s, Reno was the divorce capital of America because that's where all the people in California would go to get a divorce because they didn't have no-fault divorce in California, but they did in Nevada. So people would go to Reno to get divorced, and there was like a thing, like you'd have to stay there for 2 weeks or something. So lots and lots of people in the 30s and 40s and 50s went to Reno to get divorced. So, but thinking of Indy's past, I'm wondering if he's spending time in Reno during that time period because of just that.
That would be a great detail, yeah.
That would be, yeah.
I like that.
That's where he learned to love blackjack.
Well, why is he so unimpressed with landing on the moon? Is it because it's just not part of his discipline?
Yeah, William, we've been trying to get at this because this isn't the first time he's, clearly not cared about it being Moon Day or that the astronauts are here. There's going to be a parade. Who cares about the moon? What do you think he's an explorer, an adventurer. Why wouldn't he care about the moon?
Honestly, I think it's just because it's like expanding more than he wants humanity to be expanded. Like he's comfortable with ancient Egypt. He's comfortable with ancient, Mesopotamia. All the ancient crap that happened like however many centuries ago. He's chill with all that. He's learned that. And now he's living through history. He's living through like human expansion. And he just can't fathom that.
Well, I think he might have nailed something too because it's something that it's someplace he can't go. Like it's something big that he can't do. Like it kind of emasculates him in the sense that he's like the guy that does everything and suddenly, whoa, I can't have anything to do with this.
Oh, wow. Like your whole philosophy there, Pete, of midlife crisis. I can no longer be an astronaut.
Yep, that's it. Cross that off the list.
He's like, I can't, like he's the guy that explores everything and suddenly people are exploring things that he can't explore.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't care about
But
that
I like
thing.
William. I like your idea that it's let's explore these earthbound things and everything because it's almost like that episode, of course, of Next Generation where Picard's brother is saying, your buddy is exploring the ocean. Why don't you go explore the bottom of the ocean instead of going into space or whatever? There's plenty of stuff to do here on Earth. You just got kidnapped by the Borg. You're going through stuff. Sort of like that. So I appreciate that.
It also probably doesn't help that he's already had a tussle with real aliens in the last one.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not going up there. Forget
Maybe
it.
he has been to the moon.
Yeah.
Well, those aliens were incredibly boring, so what's he worried about?
That's why he means when he says like the moon's nowhere.
Yeah.
Like,
I also wonder too if he just sort of looks down on the astronauts. If it's like, oh, they sat in a thing that scientists built and it shot them to the moon. Like, what choice did they have but land on the moon? Like, I have to like figure stuff out. I have to like break stuff on my own. I have to like leave these ruins in a shambles to get what I want.
What are they going to
Like,
steal on the moon?
it
he's
wasn't
like
a
a
single
one-man
boulder.
thing. Yeah, there wasn't a single boulder on the moon that went rolling after somebody. But I wonder if it is like, I'm this guy who I do all this stuff on my own. I find these things. I put my life on the line. And yes, these astronauts did too, but they just kind of like, they sat there and pressed buttons. It's not the same thing. Why are they getting all these ticker tape parades?
But
I'm
of
not.
all
The
things,
views of Indiana Jones do not necessarily match those of the Indiana Jones Minute.
well,
You're like our
but the
astronauts.
moon is older than the pyramids. That's
Yeah.
the irony. It's one of
That's
the
an
oldest
antique.
things. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so he's looking at it like he's like, nah, I'm not into the future. You know, if you're landing on the moon, it does feel like the future is present on that day. And that seems to be the strong theme, that Indiana Jones is just not about that.
Yeah, he's not done
Yeah.
with the past yet. He's
No,
ready
he's
for
not
only
sort of
thinking about
looking out
future.
he's living life looking through the rearview mirror.
Well,
Yeah.
would you define like done with the past?
Yeah, like what would he actually?
I'd say Forrestal.
Anybody who's dead is done with
For-
the past.
Forrestal's done with maybe Stupido. Stupido's done with the
I bet Belloc's done.
yeah.
Donovan's probably done with the past. Yeah, I'm just thinking about dead people.
It's interesting
Like
you're talking about the moon being old. I read a book recently about the KPG extinction event, the asteroid that hit the Earth and killed all the dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. And they surmise that there are dinosaurs on the moon.
Oh wow!
Because when the asteroid hit the Earth, like, it ejected so much material with such speed and such force that they think there have to be pieces of dinosaur that actually made it to the moon.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
That'd be amazing.
So you went from there could be dinosaurs on the moon to there could be pieces of dinosaur on the moon.
Yeah, I know. That did kind of take a turn. I'm picturing like a dinosaur society on the moon and like a big bubble
Yeah.
or something, and then it's just like, it's like a jawbone of a
It's like
thing.
Yeah.
a foot
I feel
clavicle.
like all that is that's like QVC channel stuff. 2 a.m.
Yeah. Now how much would you pay?
Yeah.
The
Well,
bone.
let me ask you this, William: is Totes' face on his shoes?
Is Toad's face on his shoes?
I've been waiting a long time to ask that at one of our reunions. Is Totes' face on his shoes? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a shoe shine.
Although his shoes are probably incinerated now, so
Well, when did the melting stop? Did the rest of them melt too, or was it only his face that melted?
It'd be weird if it was just his face. That'd be almost creepier.
But maybe it was, because it was like
Like
what
his
he got.
clothes, like just kind of like in a nice neat pile at the next to where the ark was.
Well, I think the sin was looking at the ark, right? That was the sin. So it, if he had touched the
The
ark,
clothes
then
never
maybe-
hurt anybody. Yeah, the shoes never
Yeah,
hurt anybody.
maybe
Yeah.
I mean, if he had touched the ark, like what's the one, the dude in the Bible who the
Yeah, that reaches
ark
out to
is-
steady it when it's swaying.
Yeah, and then that guy, what is he? Is he struck by lightning or?
Yeah, he's struck dead somehow.
Rat
Yeah.
farts!
Well, he touched it. He didn't
That
melt.
sucks. I hate that stuff. I was just trying to help. Lot's wife was curious. Leave everybody alone. Why is everyone getting
You know what's funny
smoten?
about the story of Lot's wife? I was always like, wait a minute. Now I'm a widower?
Yeah.
Like,
Top
after
everything
first,
else.
I lose my city. I'm trying to get out of here. We're hauling ass on the way out of town. There's like 6 of us left, and now, whoop, whoop, now there's 5 of us? What am I gonna, like? Where am I gonna find a new wife? What happened? I liked my old wife.
On the plus side, I got a lot of salt.
Yeah,
And I can sell that at a
Plus,
profit.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna sit right here like
now
a
I have high
salt lick.
sodium.
Yeah,
Make a wife out of that. Out of the salt.
yeah, she's salty.
Yeah. When Helen introduces herself and reveals herself to be Helena Shaw, are we as the audience, do we know enough? Do we catch Baz's last name? Do we know that that's...
I didn't.
I
No, I
mean,
didn't.
I
don't
did
think
because,
so.
you know, whatever, but like...
Because you're Tom Taylor.
Because I'm Tom, I guess, and I do this stuff. I don't know. But yeah, it seems like a little... I'm not sure I'm supposed to put together immediately that she's Baz's daughter.
Can I say, William, your Uncle Jerry often likes to call me emotionally distant.
It's a way to start this.
And I'm not disputing that. And with that in mind, I want to say that Indy's reaction to meeting the child of a dear friend who died and a child that he spent a fair amount of time with, almost mentoring, I feel like his reaction upon seeing her seems more emotionally distant than I'm capable of.
Really?
Like that.
You really think that? In my notes, I have that this is one of the most charming moments of Indiana Jones's career in the movie.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
like at the beginning, he's all like, "Oh, whatever I did, I apologize."
I like
Leave
that's
me
a great
alone."
line.
And
yeah.
then, as soon as she said, "Oh, I'm Helena," from earlier, she's like, "Oh yeah, you," and it's like this really charming, sweet moment.
Yeah, he's delighted. He's like, well, you got tall. He's like a very human, excited, pleased old man right there. I think it's super charming.
Oh, well, okay. He
that doesn't come across to me as much, but maybe he does.
He slams his fist on the table and the counter and goes, "Wombat." And it is,
I like that.
it is. I think both of you guys are right.
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, Indy is absolutely emotionally distant. And even in this moment he is, except because it's relative. This is Indiana Jones being completely genuine and very happy to see her.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
could say that he could get up off his bar stool and give her a hug or something like
yeah,
that.
and
Right.
he seems more excited that he remembered her nickname than that he. I don't know.
Right.
I mean,
right.
I'm not trying to belittle what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I just somehow that didn't quite ring as true to me.
I think Jerry's right that we're both right,
Yeah,
which makes all of us
Well,
right.
this line, "Whatever I did, I apologize." So hold on. First of all, that really resonated with me.
Yeah. He thinks that she's the Sultan of Madagascar's wife who he
Yeah.
Yeah.
wronged.
Well, okay. So real quick, is this a little bit of a like I was a child, I was in love?
Ah.
Oh.
Is it?
Oh,
Gosh.
I was thinking
I'm
about
asking.
that.
Okay, so I'm not nuts. Like I'm asking. He's like,
Yeah.
does he?
Is this a Me Too moment?
Is this a Me Too moment? Is this a like? Is he talking about like, oh, this is a student that I gave like a D to
Yeah.
because I don't know.
Depending
They
on
were.
what your meaning of D.
Now, when
yeah.
you say D, yeah, okay. No, you meant the grade.
Oh, jeez, Tommy. No, you're wondering what is he saying? Whatever I did, I apologize, because it does have a very. He's like completely broken down. He's obviously been.
It also doesn't sound at all
embittered.
sincere.
No.
Whatever.
Or, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm sorry.
maybe this is as sincere as he can be.
Yeah.
It's like when he says, "Thank you for putting up with me." He's completely sincere. Then he gives the clock away.
Yeah.
I think this is the same sort of sincerity. I do believe that he means it. It's just, I mean, the dude's at his own retirement party by himself.
Yeah. I mean, he's not expecting anybody... He's not expecting any positive person from the past to come to him right now. So anybody who's coming up to him and saying, "Hey, you don't remember me," it's like, okay, I wronged you in some way. I pissed you off in some way. Sorry. Like, please, I'm just trying to drink and be depressed about the moon.
Yeah.
So, so he's
He
like,
did-
I mean,
yeah.
it's I don't think it's sincere, but I think it's honest. It's like, just please, leave me alone. Whatever I did, I didn't mean it. I'm real sorry.
Wait a minute. What's the difference between sincere and honest? I like that.
He honestly wants to be left alone, and whatever I did, I'm sorry. Like, that's the most you're gonna get. That's honestly what I can give you right now. That's like the apology you're gonna get from me. Whereas sincere would be, "Oh my God, I've wronged you. I don't even know what it was, but from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry. And will you please sit and have a drink with me?" or just can we please part friends?
Well,
I
okay,
love
William,
you.
let me ask you, is there a difference between saying, I'm sorry and I apologize?
I mean, I'm sure there's all sorts of different ways to apologize, with meaning it, without meaning it, trying to give some sort of snide remark or deflection. I don't think Jones is doing any of that here. I think it's mainly just like, I might be in the wrong, I might not be. Whatever the case, let me watch the moon landing and sulk about it.
Now, is it always good to preface an apology with, if I offended you, or something like, sorry if you're offended? No, which he doesn't actually quite do. He says, like, whatever I did, he's kind of owning up that he probably did something.
Right.
And he's sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of, you mentioned snide and dismissive. And Tom, you're sort of on the record of not always being thrilled when people mention that you are of taller stature. And I'm wondering if you've ever considered using these lines. I am. It's fair to say.
Honest to God, that's kind of what I mostly say. I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm tall. Fair to say.
Thanks for noticing.
If your eyes are working, I'm standing. My head is closer to other things than, yeah.
Now that line to me is a fascinating line to write, and I'm wondering if it's foreshadowing in the sense that, like, yes, the little wombat you once knew is no longer. And as we find as the movie progresses, that, she's got tricks up her sleeve, or she's not entirely on the up and up, or whatever you want to say. She's, she kind of hints to him. He's like, you've gotten tall. And she's like, I have.
Well, it's fair to say, to me, reads a little bit like that was a jerky thing to point out. But yes, it's fair. I am tall.
Yeah, I'm very self-conscious about my height, sir. Thank you.
Well, now you better apologize.
Yeah. You hadn't done anything wrong until just now. Way to go. It is a little, we've been saying it for weeks now, but Indiana Jones is in a depressed place. Not just this bar, but he's like, I'm celebrating, I'm retiring. Like, that's just is him by himself at a bar.
Yeah.
And it's, God, he's got to be incredibly lonely. Like, he's going to go home, and, like, Marion's not there. And his son's gone, and he doesn't have a job anymore. He seems primed to have somebody sweep into his life and take him on an adventure.
You know what's strange? I can't tell if he's lonely or just alone.
Yeah. He doesn't seem to want people around.
He still has, like, Sola, kind of. But...
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just call up Sala. Yeah, he's nearby, as we find.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to go to Shuffleboy?
Yeah.
Can you give me a ride somewhere?
Yeah. The Gilbert and Sullivan revival.
Trader Joe's.
Well, William, what do you think of this? You like movies. You like character arc and development and all that stuff. What do you think of how we see, our hero in whatever it is, 1969, I believe, like how they present him? We see him at this point in his life. He's, he's down. He's, I don't know, embittered. He's drinking early in the morning. Like, how do you think about that as a good place to start, an Indiana Jones movie?
Well, that's kind of been a problem with a lot of legacy sequels, is that they make their characters, like their legacy characters, like kind of miserable at the like. I don't know if you guys saw Ghostbusters, any of the new ones, but
No.
oh well, I'm just gonna spoil it because I
Please
assume
do.
no one. Okay, please do.
We had our chance. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, all the Ghostbusters like broke up before the events of like one of the new ones, and they're all mad at each other, and it seems like there's a lot of that here with Indy divorcing Marion in between movies.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think you're saying that's kind of a common with legacy movies? That's a common thing. Is the guy starts and he's been defrocked, or whatever, emasculated, or he doesn't have his career, or he's a crippling alcoholic, or whatever,
Yeah, or like, Han and Leia didn't work out, and Luke disappeared. That's I probably should have done that answer instead. Y'all would have gotten that. I went with the
Ghostbusters you speak of.
Ghostbusters? What the hell?
It is interesting
no,
you mention
Parker
Han and
Jr.
Leia. Like, all three of these movies, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and Blade Runner, I feel like so many fans, maybe less so Blade Runner, but so many fans just so badly wanted to visit their friends again and see their friends happy and what they imagined. And all of these just rip that away from you. And you're like, nope, you're not getting any of that.
And then
But isn't like, having the Ghostbusters split up and having Han, just tooling around with Chewie or something and divorced or whatever. I don't know if they get divorced in space, but he's not with Leia. Indy here is like
Goes
putting
to
booze
Reno.
in his
Well, his
coffee.
kid
and
kills
stuff.
him.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like to start the movie though, that's like
Yeah.
that makes sense as a place to start
Yeah.
your new story. Like, oh, now the Ghostbusters have to get back together somehow. How are they?
It does, but
their...
they never get back together in any of these things.
Yeah, that's
Outreachly, like we never get that shot. Like everyone said they
Yeah.
wanted Luke and Han and Leia in the cockpit of the Falcon, and we never got that. Or like,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that would just be fan service, but it's interesting.
Maybe you don't need to give people what they want,
Yeah.
Pete. Maybe just give them what they need. And they need to see a sad old Han Solo and Indiana Jones just moping and drinking their instant coffee.
I mean, maybe I'm not saying it was needed. I'm just saying it's interesting that all
It
of
is.
these
No, it
are making
definitely
that
is.
choice.
Well, it's interesting on two parts because, like, one, you're trying to continue a story that's already like developed the characters, so you need to have them regress. Otherwise, there's just no arc there. There's no story.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a very good
But
point.
then you look at a movie like Top Gun. Did you guys see Top Gun Maverick?
No.
Well, you're talking to a bunch of guys who are.
Yeah.
We don't care that it's Moon Day.
We didn't get invited to that sleepover where they watched all the Top Gun movies.
Well, I'll just quick. It was really success. You must know about the success of it.
Yeah.
I've heard of
Yeah.
it. It was in the papers.
It was ridiculously successful because it showed Maverick doing all these cool, awesome things that everyone remembers from the first movie. So now all these Top Gun fans came back like 36 years later, and they're seeing him doing awesome, pilot stuff again. And you actually see that with the new Beetlejuice, but now I'm just listing
really?
legacy sequels.
But I think what you're mentioning though also helps bring in new fans because all of a sudden new fans are like, oh wow, this guy's awesome. He does it, and I don't know that they get that out of new Star Wars. Well, they did obviously out of new Star Wars, but that they do out of new Indiana Jones.
Yeah, with both Star Wars and Indy, especially with Star Wars, there's like the sense that like, okay, the old heroes are here to hand it over to the new heroes. Your Rays
Yeah.
and your Finns and your Poes and everything. And you kind of have that here with him and Helena, but
I don't
not
feel like he really hands anything
much.
over though. It's just
Yeah,
it's more just
yeah.
like let's just make it sad.
as long as everyone's sad, it'll be awesome.
Yeah, like the last shot of the movie is like him grabbing the hat back. That would have been a really good moment if he wanted to like hand it off. But that
Yeah.
never happened.
I feel like they wanted to wrap it up that way and kind of let you. You're like, oh, this is what the guy's doing, and now it's
Let him
time
go.
for
Let
him to relax.
the audience go. They've had enough. Let him go.
Yeah. Diminishing returns.
It
Come
would.
on,
It
come on.
would have. I mean, it may have been a little too on the nose if he had handed the hat off, or like put it on Helena's head.
Yeah,
or-
because there was talk that he was going to hand it to Mutt and Crystal
yeah.
Skull.
Then they got totally burned on the
Yeah.
Mutt thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, Mutt's gonna be the net. Nope. Mutt. Well, what's his name? Mutt comes out and he's like, oh, I was in this movie and it sucked. The whole time was stupid. And the movie was dumb.
You wasn't wrong.
Well, I feel
Well,
like I feel like this whole movie kind of flopped, but I also feel like Helena kind of flopped. And I'm not saying that has anything to do with her or the role. I just feel like there's not a lot of excitement that's been generated from her role in this movie in the
You
general
don't see a lot of
population.
girls dressing up as Helena for Halloween and stuff.
Yeah,
No.
I wonder if that was a part of it. Like they didn't want to have this like major action franchise that's been male dominated to be run by a woman now.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like
Maybe.
that's something they could have done if they had done it. If they had done it, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't really
the
understand
whole-
quite what Helena is in this movie.
The whole idea
Yeah.
of passing the baton and passing it off to somebody else that's all very strange to me. That seems like, yes, you want to make more movies and your actors are getting older, but it's like in the reality of the movie or even for the audience, it's like, what? No, I wasn't here to watch Indiana Jones get older
Yeah.
and then give it to somebody else and then I watch their movies.
I want to watch
Doesn't
someone
make
come
any sense
take
to
it
me.
from him. I want to watch someone come in and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm the new grave robber."
Or better yet, I want to watch Raiders and then stop and then go read a book or something.
what's that?
It's like a movie, but it's got words all over it.
Oh,
And you have
gross.
to it's a nightmare and it gives you a headache, but it can be fun. It can be fun.
Let me ask you: Does Empire Strikes Back? Does that begin on a top note and then end on a down note? Like if we talk about movies that are kind of at the opposite, we're talking about these legacy films where at the beginning everybody's all destitute and sad. Is Empire, does that have a reverse trajectory a little bit?
It does, but to me, it's got more of a Greek tragedy, like a grand epic tragedy arc.
It is like it's not like they start at like a high, but they start where like it's like at the end of the movie,
start with hope.
He doesn't have a hand and barely though, but they're like, it's like Luke could be sitting there in the Millennium Falcon saying like, gosh, remember when I was almost killed by an AT-AT? And like we're all on the run, we had to scramble, we were getting killed by the Empire.
We were in a trash dump.
What I wouldn't give to like to just be back in those heady days of Hoth.
That was crazy times, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, William, is there any legacy or franchise that successfully passed the torch? Like, did it in the right way?
If I were to say one specific, I'd say the Scream franchise, which that one's pretty easy. Just as a brief recap, there's a guy that kills people for movie-related purposes, and that works pretty well for sequels because you can just say, "Oh, there's dumb people that want to kill for movie-related purposes," So that just keeps going. And they recently
that's just Instagram.
It is, yeah. So there was a lot of,
good answer. Ed, can you think of any others?
Oh, the Karate Kid franchise had Cobra Kai come out.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's true.
People love the new Cobra Kai.
I have a good example. Not enough people saw it to Mad Max. We just watched Furiosa the other night. That's awesome, and I don't know why people didn't go see that movie because it's great.
It is great.
Once again, I think that was because like it was a woman in a male-dominated action franchise.
I hate to agree with you, but that is probably part of it. Yeah, and the fact that it wasn't quite as good as one of the best action movies ever made. That's very frustrating. It's not as good as Fury Road, but it's fantastic.
Yeah,
but I mean they. I mean, you could say that Fury Road, which everybody loved, is barely Mad Max's movie. That's like clearly, and he's not even doing anything to like pass the baton. It's like they just have a new story about somebody who takes center stage over him.
That's right.
And that works really well.
That does work really well. It's amazing that he feels relevant when he's irrelevant.
That's a good
in that movie. I don't know how they threaded the needle that way.
But maybe that's a better farewell to Indiana Jones.
If he's like this sort of Sala to somebody else's Indy or something.
Yeah.
More of a supporting.
Or they deal with the fact that he feels irrelevant rather than the way they deal with his feeling irrelevant is to make him the hero of another story as an 80-year-old man.
Probably would have worked better with like the audience too, because it's these people who have been growing up with the franchise and they're 42 years older now. They're going to be less relevant than they. And Indy could have like embodied that as like their action hero. Like it's okay to not be as young and relevant as you once were.
As long as you buy a movie ticket.
Embrace that. I just feel like that, and they didn't really give anybody younger than we are much reason to jump into this franchise.
Yeah. Yeah, if Indy's becoming irrelevant, then we as moviegoers and that demographic were becoming irrelevant too, and so we didn't put the movie over the top of the box
I think that's a general thing that happens to people.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's true.
But I mean, we're the wrong people to bank on now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So so they're gonna have a nice drink, and have a wild celebration for Indy's. I was gonna say graduation, but his retirement. We got to this hotel room where this guy is. Someone help me. What do you call the person who brings room service? What is that person? What is that position? Is he a waiter? Like a room service waiter?
A bellhop?
Or the bellhop? Yeah.
I was gonna say, but that doesn't sound right.
Bellhop is luggage, right?
I think I want to say bellhop is luggage, or like he's not the concierge. Anyway, I'm gonna call him a waiter. He's a waiter with a tray of food. He brings it into
the room service guy.
He's a room service guy.
Shows how fancy the hotels we go to are.
That's right. We've never had to use a word for it because that never comes up.
Yeah, I've heard about this guy who does stuff.
Yeah, the food guy, the food on the tray guy.
The food man.
To it. Yeah. He comes in. We get these. I'm going to call them unsavory people. We got. Why didn't I look up his name? Boyd Holbrook. Is that his name? The actor's name?
That
he
is.
was in,
He was in Logan. He was one of my
He was in
favorite X-Men
Logan?
villains.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And he was in Narcos, and we like him. He's a good actor.
That's what he's from. I knew I had seen him before. It's Narcos.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah.
Did y'all
Yeah.
see both shows, Narcos and Narcos Mexico?
yeah.
Oh, I saw that. Is there a third one?
Probably.
I don't know.
When I saw Narco, when I watched the first one, like about a month later, I went to down to Colombia. I was just like, it actually, yeah. That that was a fantastic series.
yeah, it was
Could make some
amazing.
money doing this.
Yeah, well,
Gave Jerry all the wrong ideas.
Doesn't look that hard.
No. But so this guy wheels in a tray of food. We get Boyd Holbrook. We don't know his name yet, but he's reading a German, learn German or something book,
Yeah.
and he's bugging the guy. There's another guy on crutches, and there's a big, huge German guy, not Pat Roach or anybody like him, but he's a big, huge German guy, and he corrects his German and stuff, and yeah, the room service waiter brings the food in to why. What there's the line about he doesn't need anything on wheels, so put it on the desk. Like, what is that? Is that line only there so that then the waiter will have a reason to like shuffle the papers and we'll see the like diagrams of the Antikythera and stuff like that? And he's got a
I
little
think that
business or
line's
something?
like, this is the
train.
same guy from the train.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Oh, like since the train, he's
Yeah,
never
he does it.
he hates
Yeah.
wheels.
Like, you know how you have a vegetarian, you have a pescatarian. He's like I don't know, like a vehicularitarian or whatever. a choo-choo-tarian.
Yeah.
Choo-choo-tarian.
He doesn't even chew his food. He masticates. Chew is too close to choo-choo.
The choo-choo-tarian.
This scene is fascinating. I mean, to me, it's really, really hard to watch, and it's not just that everybody treats this man as a servant. Like the guy reading the German book treats him as a servant, like he like really, direct language, like he orders him
Yeah.
around,
Yeah.
and then Fuller, is quite racist to him. But it's like right when he walks in, you hear on the guy on the TV saying, when I was a little boy, I always imagined one day man would walk on the moon, and by golly, and you have this juxtaposition of on the TV, somebody saying, we imagine this more beautiful, better world, and here it is. Yet here we are in everyday America, and this guy walks in, and he is treated as a second-class citizen. And to be honest, in this point in America, he is a second-class citizen.
Yeah.
Fuller uses that as a jab against him. He's like, when he finds out that he fought in the war and he was a hero for his country, and Fuller's like, how are you enjoying that victory?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
Right,
really
right.
like, it's an interesting thing to put in here, but it's this whole scene for me is difficult to watch.
There are two things about it that keep it from being. I mean, I agree with you completely. It's not fun to watch, but what's interesting and kind of great about it is that on the one hand, and I have to give our buddy John Engel some credit for this because he and his buddy Mitch covered this movie when it came out, and John made this point that in all these Indiana Jones movies, or at least ones with Nazis, it's like Nazis. It's just like broad strokes. They're the bad guys. I think Dietrich makes one comment about a Jewish ritual, and that's like the closest they get to what Nazis were actually up to. And then here in this movie, in 2023 or whatever it was, we get like a clear, this is what the Nazis were. This is why they were the bad guys. This is why we hate them and why we want to stop them.
But the movie's saying this is America too, which
It
I think
is,
is
it
interesting.
is.
Which I think
Yeah.
is really
It
interesting.
is.
I don't think this is just saying this is Nazis. I think this is saying this is all of you.
But it's
Well,
also
it's
a Nazi using that fact as like a jab against this guy.
It is.
Well, okay,
but
so
it's-
what's it?
Yeah.
What's
You're right. It doesn't make it untrue, but it's yeah.
What's interesting is he's holding up a bit of a mirror, sort of thing. How's that? I mean, both. What's his name, Fuller, or Mad Mikkelsen is.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, the director is as well.
Oh no, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is it's and
But
of
it's very
course
subtle.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. And it's tricky too because if it's a scene where it's clearly about this Nazi just sort of poking at this guy because he feels like he can, But then, yeah, you're right. The movie is also saying, you know, Nazis aren't the only ones who are, who have like the wrong view of things and aren't handling things perfectly. That could muddy it a little bit, but it's also it's interesting. But the other thing that makes it palatable to me, that I can handle it, is the guy himself, the waiter, handles the whole thing so beautifully, and not just like.
He does, but to me, that's the heartbreaking part, is because he handles it so beautifully because he's had to handle it so beautifully over and over and
he knows
over throughout his life.
exactly what he's saying. He knows exactly what he's getting at.
Because he's had to respond to every single hotel room he's gone into.
Yeah. Right.
It was just another guy for him, yeah.
I just stopped myself from trying to make an analogy between this and people asking me how tall I am. I stopped myself from doing it. I will cut it out because it's inappropriate.
Don't cut it out. I love that.
Well,
people finally understand.
The one thing that's interesting is he does, as you were talking about earlier, like in Raiders, it's like Nazis in broad strokes. They're bad guys. Mm-hmm. This, of course, it does get a little swimmy and a little gray. And he sort of, turns the mirror around, so to speak. But what's interesting is you're like, okay, you have a Nazi who built the rocket that put the Americans on the moon.
That's another layer of fuzzy. You're right.
That's another layer. And so
happened in reality. Well, I mean, it's based. I mean, that's based on a true aspect of American history.
Is there a real life figure that ScHmIdT is based on? Do we know?
Well, yeah, I think he's loosely based on Werner von Braun.
Oh, wow.
Who was the rocket engineer who led NASA. And
Now, did von Braun have a crazy scar on his face from getting hit by that mail chute on the train and stuff? Because that seems
I'm not
super
sure
fake.
But yeah, he has some very, 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 very dark skeletons in his past.
Okay, that figures.
So it's multi-layered or multifaceted.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So why do you think the director chose to draw this scene like that?
Because here's one idea. Because when this is the second time we met Fuller, and the first time he was all about Hitler's kind of a dum-dum. He doesn't quite know what he's doing. I'm smarter than him. But all that I'm really interested in is getting this thing. I know that the lance is a fake. I'm an expert on this stuff. All I want is the Antikythera. So we don't. He could almost seem like a kind of decent Nazi or something. He could almost seem like he's a Nazi you could talk to.
He's not.
He doesn't like Hitler.
Yeah. He's not Schindler, but he's up there.
Yeah. Right. He's like Schindler minus 10 or something.
Yeah. And then we find out.
Yeah, but and I think it's because there's another layer of things going on here too. Not only is he being a jerk and like just showing the audience like exactly who he is and why we hate him, but then he's also got the guy from Narcos with the mustache standing there learning
Who's
German.
An American CIA agent, right? Or like FBI agent, or like an American.
I think. That gets fuzzy later on too, but we'll see.
No,
he doesn't speak German. Like when he's trying to learn German, and his German's really bad when he's trying to say, how do you break your ankle?
Yeah, but he seems to represent a stripe of American life that thinks that fellows like Fuller are right on and they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I think it's I don't know, in terms of why is it in the movie? I think it's I think if we just called him a Nazi and didn't show him as an actual bad guy in a concrete way, I don't know if audiences today would go for. I mean, they didn't go for it; they didn't go see the movie, but it wouldn't work as well. I don't think I think audiences demand a little bit more, maybe.
I think it's important to show that he is like a terrible person aside from being a Nazi.
Yeah,
like he's just an awful. Like I was talking about this before we recorded. Jay, I think you were late. But
yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So he's such a hater. Like he's a Nazi that doesn't even like Hitler.
Right. Yeah, he hates everybody.
Yeah, and that's just so unique to me. Like because Indy's been fighting the Nazis in how many movies now, and this guy like wants to be even bigger than that.
Yeah, yeah.
He sort of transcends the Nazi party in his evilness.
Well, yeah. When you make like a hate group like that and you all bond over and you're all meeting over just hate, Like, what do you really expect to happen?
Right.
Yeah.
And then this guy
They're gonna
doesn't even
get
want to be part of that club because they're not hating enough.
Yeah, there's going to be
They're
one
hating
guy
wrong.
who hates all the people in the club.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's this guy.
I don't want to be a part of any hate group that would have me as a member. Oh, on a lighter note, if I may,
Please.
there is some Jerry.
Yes.
Please tell me you know what I'm talking about, or that you know what I'm talking about. I wish I knew his name, but blonde guy, Narcos guy, picks
Yeah.
up that Coke bottle and cracks it open, and he's saying something about he made the rockets and stuff. Seeing a Coke bottle, a glass Coke bottle, in the very late '60s, does that not look like Cleveland in the '70s to you and your childhood and snapshots from your photo
100%.
albums? Yeah.
100%. And you know what? It looks like a summer or the beach or a bicycle.
Yeah.
Or maybe a big wheel or
Or
somebody's
just one of those
basement.
family reunions and somebody
Yeah.
brought a big case, like a wooden case of glass bottles of Coke. Yeah.
If there's somebody out there, I'm going to throw a real deep cut out there. My, William, you're related to these people too. It was our great
Sorry.
it was our great uncle Jim and Aunt Helen used to have these types of parties, and they had a soda, a pop that was in a glass bottle, and it was called Little Tom's.
Wow.
And it was they had orange and cream soda and grape and root beer, and there's probably one that was called cola. And I have no idea if it was a local thing or what it was, but that's instead of like Pepsi or Coke or Team or RC at the tab at the Porter family reunions, at least this one, we had Little Tom's.
Wow.
And I'm dying to know if anybody on the Indiana Jones Listeners Crusade remembers Little Tom's. I don't know if it was like an Ohio thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I do not. I do not remember
Yeah.
those.
I've never heard of it.
Wow. Probably made it
Did
up.
you? Yeah, you made that up.
Come on, Jerry.
I don't have anything to contribute to the conversation right now. I better make something up, guys. It's a deep cut.
Little Tom's.
Well, speaking of Jerry's
Family
family
members
and William's
and-
family and significant
And
people
breaking
in your
into the
lives that you both
conversation
share.
with
Little
important
Toms.
points.
Yeah. Little,
Oh yes, that's right. Coming in over the wire from Professor Christy Porter. Let me see here. William, call your mother.
When's the last time you called your mom?
There
William?
you go.
You're in
There
college.
you go.
What do you call your mom enough?
Yes.
At least text or something? Okay. Would she say that you call enough?
Apparently not. She just said the opposite.
She sent a telegram to the show just to get you to call her. That's pretty
Just to
desperate.
derail. That doesn't sound very professional, if I'm being honest.
Not really.
It doesn't.
talk
No,
to her
yeah.
later.
You got behind the curtain of Professor Christy Porter. Professor Christy Porter as mother. Hey, William, we're talking about different generations, and with your generation, how do you feel? I mean, I know you're a huge cinephile. How did this movie strike you? Like when it came out or it was announced it was coming out, and you were 3 years old or whatever it was. No, how did it strike you, and how does this franchise strike you and your friends? Do you find it relevant, or does your generation find it relevant? How does it land?
Well, first of all, I don't think any of my friends saw it because it's a franchise from the 80s, unfortunately. I saw it opening day with my mom, obviously, because I'm really cool. And
Yes.
yeah, I don't think this was just like the legacy sequel that hit it. I don't know if Indiana Jones is that big a brand. It's probably just not, as strong as it could have been. I think it really peaked in the 80s, and ever since then they've just been doing like, what if he was old?
Yeah.
What if time?
Yeah. what if your favorite action hero, had bad knees?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
okay.
actors
So
age
is
over time.
there any legacy of franchise? We talked a little bit about passing the torch. Is there anything that has withstood the test of time and it is as shiny and lustrous and glowing right now today?
Absolutely. If you want longevity, I'd go to the Bond franchise.
Oh, sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the longest. It started in like 1962, I want to say, 63.
Yeah.
And I mean, we haven't had a movie since 2021, but so far, like they've been taking their time, and the last one made a killing at the box office.
Well,
They seem to have a
long.
really cool, weird, unique formula of a combination of, like, it is a form, like you kind of know what you're gonna get. It's like there's like a similar structure to all those movies, all the James Bond movies, but they also keep reinventing it and changing it up over the decades. And they're not like beholden to like, well, it's not like Goldfinger, so we can't do it or something.
okay. Did they have
make 'em
a
for the times?
dark, bilious alcoholic Bond?
Kinda, in a way, they all are. Yeah. I mean, Daniel Craig is definitely like not like a light, fun Roger
Right.
Moore or something.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
So they do mix it up.
You know
And they
what?
all
You know,
different moods.
a movie that this isn't a sequel, but a movie to me that nailed the aging hero vibe perfectly was The Wild Bunch, the Sam
Oh,
Peckinpah
wow.
movie, because
Wow.
it's all these aging Hollywood stars, these guys who were huge, bigger than life stars, and they have to go on one, they're all aging and they're all dealing with all these, getting older, like a lot older, and yet they're going on one final job, and the way they do it, I think that's a good way to do it.
Nice.
I don't want to give any spoilers. Because you
What
should
about-
all
what
see
about-
you should all see that movie. That's an incredible.
What
movie.
about Cloak and Dagger? Like you're either gonna completely get that, or people are gonna go, "Whoa,
What's
that
a
was me?
Cloak and Dagger?
What?
yeah." I mean, his dad is the hero.
What?
Yeah.
Well, William, thank you for being here. This was
awesome, William.
Thank you so much for
We love
having
having
me.
you here.
Yep.
Please call your mom just a little more often. Just to tell her that I said hi. Then I don't have to call her.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
you just
okay.
tell her that we all said hi, then it's also off the hook.
I'll take one for the team.
Thank you, William. I appreciate that. Jerry, call your sister more often. Pete, call Professor Christy Porter more often. And I'll call her too. Why not? And everybody, please call Professor Christy Porter as much as you can in the next week, and then come back for episode 11 minutes.
Hey.
I don't know what the next ones are. 31 to 32 or 3
It's
or something.
confusing
I don't
this
know.
season.
It is.
I still call it the
a little bit
minute.
of math.
I still say the minute when we're talking
I
about
know.
3 minutes. Yeah.
You know what saves me is the Schoolhouse Rock about 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. So yeah, we're on 30 now. But thanks for everything. Thanks for listening. Thanks for, hey, if you're over at patreon.com/Indiana Jones Minute and supporting the show over there, thank you for that. In lieu of that, you could be hanging out with us at the Indiana Jones Minute and the Listeners Crusade group over on Facebook. And, the usual. You could give us a nice review or something on wherever you are listening to this
Is that
lovely
still a
show.
thing?
Leaving reviews?
Yeah. Do people still
Yeah,
review
stars and reviews
podcasts?
and stuff. Yeah, I think they do. Sure. They should.
If you're good enough.
If you can't find
Or
the
bad
button,
enough.
just write to your congressman, tell them this is a great show, and that everybody should, should get some sort of federal funding or something.
Yeah. And tell Tom he's tall.
Yeah, tell me I'm tall. As if I didn't know. Just let me know that I'm tall. Thank you. Just break the news to me gently. Thank you. And yeah, come back and we'll do more of this next time on the Indiana Jones Minute.
William doesn't eat anything on wheels.
He fell off his bike once while he was trying
Yeah.
to eat a corn dog. He's never
Do you
got
think
over it.
the Meals on Wheels organization is outraged over this?